right now Democrats are holding a news conference speaking against what they say is hate and vitriol being used against Muslim Americans. They say that type of rhetoric doesn't belong in our country. These folks from CAIR, they've been invited by Representative Zoe Lofgren of California and Alcee Hastings of Florida from the CAIR chapters in their states. Let's listen in.
One of the Americans being held today in prison in Iran. One of the reasons he's still there is that he's a patriot. He served his country in uniform.
So joining us right now is Sameena Usman. She's the government relations coordinator for CAIR and will be attending the State of the Union tonight. Sameena, Dr. Carson has called for an investigation of your group in the past and also finds it hard to believe that you could be an invited guest for the State of the Union. What's your reaction?
Well, thank you very much for having me. It's interesting how Dr. Carson says that we're un-American or support un-American ideals. What our organization does is that we protect the Constitution through protecting our First Amendment and Fourth Amendment rights specifically. We have thousands of people who come and call our office for support every year. We have, a number of people who are worried. They are fearful of their lives. They're fearful of being attacked, and they call our office for that type of support. So if that is not American, I don't know what is.
Sameena, what do you make, though, of fears that Americans have as there have been headlines made recently as what we watched in Philadelphia, a police officer being shot 11 times by a person claiming to do this in the name of Islam. How do you talk to Americans rationally about what it means to see that tied to your religion?
I completely understand those fears. However, to have that be tied to the religion, that could be furthest from the truth. I mean, Islam is a religion of peace. However, the people who perpetrate that type of violence, as the president said, those are thugs. Those are people who do not follow the practices and the teachings of Islam and therefore should not be associated with the religion at all.
So when we hear the presidential candidates like a Donald Trump calling for a ban on Muslims and many people, Americans, rallying around that, and we see a Muslim woman that was asked to leave a Trump event as standing up in peaceful demonstration, how do you react to that, seeing fellow Americans see you and people of your religion as such a problem?
I think Donald Trump and Ben Carson probably need to take another look at the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and read what the First Amendment states. That we have to practice our religion, we have the right to, we have the freedom of expression, and to have his xenophobic and hateful rhetoric being spouted has been encouraging people to commit acts of violence. We have seen acts of violence perpetrated against the Muslim community that has not been seen, that has been the highest ever. When very close to my home in Richmond, you have a man who was building pipe bombs with the intent to hurt the Muslim community and who was inspired by Donald Trump. That is what I call fear, and that is what I call terrorism. I
think, many people would agree with you. That is domestic terrorism as well, targeting out religious community members. We had Congressman Keith Ellison, and Ellison is the first Muslim elected to Congress. I want to remind everybody that. What he had to say about the rhetoric that's being used. Sameena, take a listen.
There are no second-class citizenship in America. Everybody is a full citizen of this nation. All faiths are welcome. And we want to make sure that for any political leader who thinks they can divide Americans, suppress Americans, and exclude Americans based on religion, we will not be divided. We are united. We are indivisible.
So we hear there from Representative Ellison, who will be a guest of my colleague Kate Snow coming up in the next 2 hours here on MSNBC. But all faiths are welcome, Sameena. When you hear that and you hear it from Representative Ellison, are you worried, though, that's not what people are hearing in this presidential election and that somebody might get into the White House that doesn't feel that way?
The country is looking for a president that will unite us as a people. And when presidential candidates are spouting such hateful rhetoric, that causes multiple and numerous divisions, not only against the Muslim community, but against, other minorities, against immigrants. So what I'm fearful of is if our country continues to spiral towards fear and towards fear of others, that's what I'm fearful of. And what I hope is that we have a president who will be able to unite us and to unite the country.
We will all be watching tonight. Sameena, thanks so much for joining us. Sameena Usman, who is from CAIR and the government relations coordinator for that organization, also going to be in attendance tonight for the